Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are finally going over 2024 favorite books. We are finally going over my favorite books of 2024. Words, they're hard sometimes. Here's the thing, I was gonna rank them and go from 24 all the way to 1, but I can't. It is so impossible for me to rank these because I read 239 books in 2024. In 2025, I want to slow down. And my goal is 120 books, which I feel better about because then I can put equal parts of me in my work and equal parts of me as a mother and a wife and a booktuber and all the things if I just kind of take a step back and put less pressure on myself to read. And yes, I am the only one that puts pressure on myself to read, and I'm still gonna have that pressure. I'm still gonna be like, hey, I should be reading, or hey, I need to read, but I'm gonna try and take it a step back a little bit in this new year. And so for 2024, I have my top 24 books, really 25 because one of them is duology and I couldn't pick. I just love the whole series as a whole. So my top 24 books of 2025, I read a lot of different genres. My main genres are thrillers and romance. But I'm also getting into the horror genre. I have some classics. What? I have some classics on here. And I think that just made it 26 books. But I remembered that I read another classic that was right there. And I had to include it because it was so meaningful to me. So like I said, I read 239 books and I kind of want to lessen that a little bit. Let's start with the one book that I don't physically own yet because it says it doesn't come out till March. So I think that it was indie published and then it was picked up by a publisher, so they took out all of the books and now it's being published. It's Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. I am very much the unpopular opinion here, but I loved this book. I know everyone else was kind of disappointed by it. Here's the thing. This has everything. There's kidnapping. There's an amusement park where, people are going missing, and then the cop, I don't like detective novels, but I liked the cop in here. I wish I could remember her name, but she was fantastic. But she starts investigating these missing people in Wonderland, and she's the new, deputy in town, I think, and everyone keeps shutting her down and being like, hey, just don't worry about it. Wonderland is its own thing. Don't do that. Don't investigate too hard. And, that's constant red flags. So, of course, she investigates, and her daughter starts working at Wonderland in one of the, haunted clown houses or whatever as a doll. And, she gets her makeup done and everything, and she's 16, I believe, and she ends up, there's a storyline there, but I don't want to fully, give things away because it's a thriller. This was so intense and so like action packed, but not like, you know, those action like Taken. It's just action, 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 action. I like that sometimes, but not in this book. So there's a good chunk of, oh my God, what's going on? But then Jennifer Hillier has such a good way of like bringing it back and zoning in on the tension and the atmosphere. I loved the atmosphere in Wonderland. Like, it's such a haunted amusement park, and I have learned that I really, really love atmospheric books. I've known that for a long time, but specifically like amusement park mystery thrillers, horrors, you know? Like, if you have any recommendations for an isolated like amusement park style horror story or thriller, please leave them in the comments below, because there's a theme of that, just so you know. We will come back to that theme here in a little bit. Like I said, this can be all over the place. There's really no rhyme or reason. But I was supposed to read all of Jane Austen's books because I have all 7 of them in a bind, all 6 of them in a bind up. I read 3 of them, and there's Emma, there's Northanger Abbey, and I can't remember what it was. Persuasion. My favorite was Northanger Abbey. That's why I got this like beautiful edition of Northanger Abbey, so that you can see the trophy on my wall, on my bookshelf of this. I don't want to tell you a whole lot. Just know that I love Abby. Like, Jane Austen wrote Abby in such a great way. I've realized that most of Jane Austen's novels are kind of like coming of age novels. And I wouldn't classify Jane Austen as a romance author. I would classify her more as like a woman's fiction author. Don't come for me in the comments. Don't hate me for saying that. But this one was just so beautiful. And like, I read this in like one sitting because I could not put it down. It was so beautiful. And then another classic that I really, really enjoyed. I have 2 copies because I now want to collect every edition. Well, here's the thing. I read this paperback edition of Charlotte's Web by E.B. White, and then I found this 60th anniversary edition, and it's like the same, but it's hardback, and I just had to get it. But I am one of those ones that have been sleeping under a rock on this book and never read it. Everyone knows what Charlotte's Web is about, I feel like. But you follow the pig Wilbur, who is going to be dinner to Fern's family. Fern's dad is going to him, Wilbur. But Fern saves him, and then they go to a farm. And that's where Wilbur starts making friends. And one of his best friend is Charlotte, the spider. And it was so cute. The next one is also a classic. I finally read 1984 by George Orwell. And everyone says Big Brother is watching. I don't really like political books, so I really went into this thinking that I was going to hate it. But it is it's a political book in a sense, but it's mostly like a dystopian, and it's so crazy how we've actually done a lot of the things in here, and how far is too far with privacy. And are you more political and you're like, you don't deserve privacy, or who wants it? Never mind. Or are you like, oh, well, that's that's too far. And we're touching on citizens' privacy rights and just rights to being here right now. And this was so dark, like much darker than I thought it would be. And I enjoyed it so much. I listened to it on audio, but then I liked it so much that I went and bought myself a copy. Then this one, a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on, and like, fine, that's okay. You're valid, because Frida McFadden, her writing is, yeah, she's definitely more of a popcorn thriller, and you know, there's something about her writing that it pulls me in. I read both The Housemaid and Never Lie by Frida McFadden this year. I personally liked Never Lie more because it's an isolated thriller. I mean, I guess the other one is too, but this one follows Trisha and Ethan, who just got married and they're looking to buy a house. And they go to this really nice mansion looking place, and then of course, you know, a snowstorm happens, and so they're stuck in this house that is vacant because this Dr. Hale, I don't remember, Dr. Adrian Hale went missing like 3 years ago, and now her house is finally going up for sale because they're just saying that she's presumed dead. But then all these dark secrets and things come out in this book. And is it very, very cliche? Absolutely. Is it the best writing? Probably not. But did I have fun? And was I actually surprised by the ending? Yes. Double yes. I had fun, and I was surprised by the ending. On the scale of like, is this great literature? Probably not, but you know what? I had fun with it, and I recommend it for just like a quick, easy popcorn thriller. If you're like me and you like some popcorn thrillers just to kind of cleanse your palate a little bit, this one left me guessing, and I really, really enjoyed the chapters that were from the past when Adrian Hale, she was a psychologist. She was a counselor, something like that, psychiatrist. And she has all of her files, and I think even recording, so it kind of was read like a podcast, kind of. I really, really enjoyed those chapters. The Here and Now chapters were fine, but I did not trust anyone in the Here and Now. And with good, you know, trust your gut. But this was fun. I enjoyed it. Okay, now we are changing gears to The Spells Love by Kate Robb. This I read in January last year. It was like the third book I read in 2024, but I enjoyed it so much. So Gemma gets dumped by her longtime boyfriend. She gets fired. Her life is really going down. And her aunt, her wacky aunt, is like, hey, let's do some witchcraft and you can get a second chance to kind of, you know, have a better life. So, you know, she gets drunk with her cousin and her aunt, and they do this wacky, like, witchcrafty thing. And then she wakes up and her boyfriend is there. She has this job that she hated, and she, you know, it's basically like a year before. And so she gets to relive this year because of that wacky mistake. But is she gonna make all the same decisions and end up in the same place? Or does she realize that maybe the person that she loved was closer than she thought? And this was definitely a friends to lovers, and it was just super kooky but super cute. I loved it. Emily Henry has to be on this list. This is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry. I love her newer stuff like Happy Place. I know I'm the unpopular opinion there too. And Funny Story. I love these two more than like Beach Read and Every Book Lovers, all the things that she's known for. These two are my favorite, like top tier. But I only read Funny Story this year, so we're going to talk about Funny Story. Girl, I know you and I both love New Girl. Because, like, oh, this is so good. I forget. Daphne and Peter. Yeah. Daphne and Max? Miles. Okay, so Daphne and Peter were engaged, and they were going to get married. But Peter leaves Daphne for his best friend, who is non-important, so I don't really care what her name was. But they leave, and they're together, and he's basically like, hey, get out of my house, I pay all the bills, so you have like 10 days to get out of the house while they're on their trip. So Daphne has nowhere to go, so she goes into Petra's, I think her name was Petra's roommate, well, lover, you know, they were boyfriend, girlfriend, but of course Petra left Miles for Peter, and Peter left Daphne for Petra. We're gonna call her Petra. I don't know if that's her name, but for some reason I'm thinking Petra in my head. But it left Daphne without a place to go, so she goes to Miles, and they don't really know each other, but she's like, can I stay with you until I get on my feet, because, you know, of everything that happened. Then, to add, you know, a little sizzle to the top, Peter and Petra are getting married, so they get a wedding invitation for each of them and a +1. So they're like, hey, let's fake date and go to the wedding together as dates and make them really, really mad or really, really jealous. And of course, you know, fake dating only works out so much before it becomes real. See, I loved this story because Daphne, she is New Girl. You know, with Emily Deschanel, yeah. And Miles, he's in that show too. He's the will they or won't they, and you can, this bleeds New Girl energy. So, it was great. It was just like, it was messy, but it was feel good, and I just was smiling the whole time. And Miles, you know, he's problematic as a person. He's not problematic, but he's not perfect. Like, sometimes you read those romances where both of the main characters are just perfect without each other, but they're better together, or they're just perfect. And like, I like those romances, but this is not that. This is messy. This is chaotic. It's drama. And Emily Henry, girl, this was you hit one out of the park with this one, and I love you. Run on Red by Noelle W. Eiley. I read most of this author's backlist in 2024 because I went down a rabbit hole after reading this. This one is still my favorite, but you follow Laura and Olivia, who are going to this bonfire in the middle of the woods. They're driving, and you see the tail lights right there. There's a truck that's trying to ram them off the road. So needless to say, one of them gets away and the other one gets kidnapped. Well, because they're such good besties, the one that got away runs back to go, like, save her best friend. And this was high octane, high energy. It was, like, felt very suffocating because I felt like I was in the car with them as they were trying to get away from this truck, and then I felt like I was, like, in the woods and in the cabin, and it was high energy, super good. Highly recommend this. If you only read one Noelle W. Eiley book, make it be Run on Red. Okay, and then Josh Malerman made my list. What? This is probably my favorite Josh Malerman book. Yeah, there's quite a few I haven't read yet, but so far, Mallory, which is actually the sequel to Bird Box, is my favorite. So I thought Bird Box was fine. I thought the movie was good. Maybe it's because I saw the movie first, but I thought it was fine. Like, the book was fine. The movie was good. It was like a 3-star. It was fine. I wasn't even gonna read Mallory, but something about this cover just drew me in, and I'm like, okay. So I think this 10 years after the ending of Bird Box, so I'm not really gonna tell you a whole lot other than you follow Mallory and the kids, and secrets come out, and this one was really addictive. It's more of a slow burn horror novel. Like, it very much gets in your mind, and it still lives in my mind rent free, especially like the twists that came out in this. Okay, then there's Things You Save in the Fire by Catherine Center. I read a lot of Catherine Center this year, and I almost also put How to Walk Away by Catherine Center on this list, but if I'm being honest, Things You Save in a Fire was the superior of the two. This one follows a firefighter named Cassie who goes to a new fire department, and no one takes her seriously because she's a girl, but she's also a firefighter. And then, you know, they prank her and stuff, and she maybe gets a crush on one of her co-workers who's also a firefighter, and yeah, it was just like a steamy, fun little romance that at times didn't feel like a romance. It is kind of hard-hitting though, so don't go in just looking for a smutty fun time. Like, I mean, that there were smutty scenes, but it's a more hard-hitting romance, and that's what I really enjoy Catherine Center's writing. Her books usually have some kind of bigger topic, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I feel like that's a spoiler, but just know that this one had me grinning from ear to ear, and it was just so much fun. Okay, then this one, I actually want to reread this this year, I guess, in 2025. This is Hunted by Darcy Coates. This one has a huge cast of characters, but you follow this girl, Eileen, who went missing on a hike, and now it's 5 days later, and her brother Chris brings a bunch of ragtag friends, and they're going the same place that Eileen was, and they're trying to find her, and it gets real. It's kind of spooky. I mean, it's a horror novel, but more than that, it's like a survival thriller, and it was just like, ooh, what is gonna happen now? And it's not a fun time, but I had fun. Then I read The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. Not everyone is gonna love this. This was a very literary horror novel about Jin King, Ji-won's life You follow her as a child, and then you slowly see her descend into madness, and she becomes very obsessed with eyeballs, and specifically George's eyeballs. And she really, really hates this man, George. But to be fair, George is a creep. He is written so that you hate him because of the things that he does. And you follow her as she descends into menace and starts eating eyeballs after it's just eyeballs obsession. It's very literary. Nothing happens in this book. It was amazing. It was scary. And there's At First Spite by Olivia Dade. Oh my god, this one was super messy too. This one made me feel really, really happy. That sounds so wrong because you follow Athena and her fiance. They, go their separate ways. He goes on the honeymoon, and she is left without a job because she quit her job to move into this house right here. But the thing is that her fiance lives here, her ex-fiance, and her ex-fiance's brother, Matthew, lives there. So, Athena, having nowhere else to go, just moves in, and plus size rep here is amazing. The mental health rep here is amazing. And I hated Matthew. Okay? I hated him. I did not want them together. They hate each other, and it's a hate to love. But Matthew is her ex-fiance's brother. And I'm like, ew, that's messy. Don't do that. But then, slowly but surely, he wormed his way into my heart, and I was breathing and fighting for them to be together because it was so wholesome and so cute with very, very hard topics. There's PTSD and depression, and there's a lot of mental health in here, and I did not know that going into it, but it displayed it so well that I couldn't help but sob over this book and love this book. And then another romance is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This one follows Anna and Liam. Anna and Liam. So Liam is rich and Anna is not. So they have a marriage of convenience. They get married so that she can go to school for cheaper because, if you're married, then I don't know. She has some kind of scholarship that depends on them being married, and so they get married for a marriage of convenience, but they separate because it wasn't real. It was just supposed to be until college was done. They separate, they go their own ways. It is 3 years later. Liam wants Anna to be his date to his sister's wedding because his family thinks that they're still married. And she's like, but we're not anymore. And he's like, I know we're not, but my family doesn't know that. So, of course, she fake dates her ex-husband to make it look like they're still together. And it was fun. It was just fun. I really love Anna. I didn't really like Liam. He kind of rubbed me the wrong way because he was this preppy rich guy that doesn't have a care in the world. And I didn't love that. But I ultimately did really enjoy this book. There was something about Liam that I couldn't get behind fully. But by the end, I was happy that Anna and Liam were together. Okay, so I got To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee for Christmas in 2023. And I read it in January of 2024. And I flippin' loved it. So I had to buy a different edition because, you know, now I need all the editions of To Kill a Mockingbird. Just so you know, this is the 60th anniversary edition. Scout. That's all I have to say. Scout. Shoot all the bluebirds you want if you can hit them, but remember it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. You follow Scout, and her relationship with her brother was so wholesome and so great. Like, she's this child that doesn't understand the hate in the world, because this takes place in the 1930s in the Deep South. And her dad is the lawyer who is defending a black man that shot a white guy, right? And everyone's like, you should not be helping him, he's black. And Scout, just being inside Scout's head, like, she doesn't understand the hate. She doesn't understand why it matters what your skin color is. And, like, this resonated so much with me because it's almost 100 years later, because this takes place in the 1930s. It wasn't published until 1960s, but it takes place in the 1930s. Almost 100 years ago. And the problems that are in this book are still prevalent today, if not more so. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of wins. I hate saying it like that. There are a lot of things that have changed, but there's still so much heart in this book, and so much just... Like, I thought of myself as Scout when I was a kid. Like, just wondering, and the imagination that she has. And she's so pure-hearted because she doesn't understand where all the hatred comes from. And her relationship with her brother, oh my God, her brother. Then I have the other Darcy Coates that's on this list. I read a ton of Darcy Coates books, probably like 10. I don't know. But Dead Lake and Hunted were my two favorites. Dead Lake is probably my all-time favorite Darcy Coates so far. Like I said, I have a lot to read of hers. But this follows Sam at this cabin in the middle of nowhere, and you know, she's low-key being stalked, but she doesn't know that she's being stalked or that someone is there. She just gets this dark atmosphere, like this dark feeling, and things go unhinged. And I love the unhinged horror novels. This made me super creeped out. I was reading it at home in the dark. I mean, I had like one little light on, but some things happened in here, and then I had to turn on all the lights and like finish this book because it was so flippin' good. Like, here's the thing, I love horror novels and thrillers that follow a stalker. So if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. This one is probably for sure my favorite romance of the year, but like, I love this. This is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I love her. I will read a grocery list that she makes if she wants to. So you follow Emma and Justin. Justin writes on Reddit about being like cursed. So he dates a girl, and immediately after him, she finds the one and she marries them, and you know, they're happy. Emma is in Alaska, I think, and she has that same problem. So she's just like, she's a traveling nurse. So her and her roommate are trying to figure out where they're going to go next. And it's supposed to be her roommate's turn to pick, but she starts corresponding with Justin. And they're like, well, what if we go on 4 dates, have one magical kiss, and then we break up, and that way we both can find our one after each other. So it's kind of like a fake dating deal kind of scenario. And of course, fake dating never works, so it slowly becomes real. But you know, is it really real? And oh my gosh, this had me sobbing, like not just a couple glistening tears, like sobbing, couldn't breathe, sobbing mess. I'll link the vlog if I can find it, but it was so good. It was just, the month that I read this, I read 51 books, and this one was the winner. This one might be, like, if I were ranking them, this one might be my favorite book of the year. But don't tell the other books, because I really enjoyed those. This one just has so much heart, and it broke me, and then it put me back together in like a sobbing, snotty mess. Then the series, what? Who is she? A series? I don't know if this is the entire series or if there's gonna be more, but this is The Butcher and the Wren and the Butcher Game by Elena Arquette. I can't tell you a whole lot about this. You follow Jeremy, I believe. Okay, so you follow a methodical serial killer and a forensic pathologist, Dr. Wren Moeller. And you actually get chapters from the serial killer's perspective, and being inside Jeremy's head was the most revolting, nastiest place I have been in a long, long time. This book was terrifying. This entire series was terrifying. It is like a serial killer cat and mouse game, and dark secrets are being held by one or both of them. And it was just morbid and disturbing in the best way possible. This does end in an open-ended kind of, so if you don't like that, then you probably don't want to read these. But that does mean that there could be a third one. I don't know if there's a third one planned or not, but if there is, I need it. We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III. This is a little novella about this family that goes up to their bathroom and goes in the bathtub to wait out a tornado. And then scary stuff happens. And I know that sounds so weird because you're like in a bathroom and how scary can it be? But like, think locked room mystery, kind of, but not really a mystery, just locked room horror, isolated horror novel, because you can't leave and then like you're stuck. Like, how are you going to survive without food? What are you going to do if you can't trust everyone that's in the bathroom with you? But, you know, they're all family, so of course you can trust them. Then there's Fantastic Land by Mike Bachhoven. Like I said, amusement park horror novels have apparently become my bread and butter. This one follows like a bunch of different people, and it's told in interview format, so it's kind of cool. I highly recommend the audiobook for this one because it's told in interview format. But there is a hurricane in Florida, and Fantastic Land is the amusement park there. So because there's a hurricane warning, they tell everyone to leave, but thousands of people live in, or thousands of people work here, and it's like a huge amusement park. And there's a lot of people that are staying at the park, so they don't get the memo in time. So like 400 people get stuck in Fantastic Land. And that's not even the scary part. Like, yeah, there's food, there's water, they can survive as long as the hurricane doesn't take them out, right? Wrong. Because after the hurricane, like, Lord the Flies, like, survival of the fittest. It's like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna all come together. Instead of all 400 of us, one group is gonna go over here, another group is gonna go, and they're gonna spread out, and then you can't trust anyone because people are animals, and they're savage. This went places that I was not expecting, and it's terrifying how mad we will go without our humanity, or how much of our humanity we'll give up to feel safe even though we are the danger. This one is Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood. This one is my favorite Allie Hazelwood. Like, I'm a Allie Hazelwood stan. I love Allie Hazelwood. I know a lot of people have problems with, like, her characters, and, she kind of recycles different things in her books, but that's okay if you know what you're good at. This is a forbidden romance, so it's kind of like, ooh. Secret Affair proves that all's fair in love and science. So it's another, like, sciencey one. This follows Rue, and I don't remember the guy, Eli. And Eli is coming to basically buy out the company that Rue works at. And things get really, really heated because they had what was supposed to be a one-night stand before she knew who he was. And now that she knows who he is, she hates him, but she also feels very, very, very heated with him, like attracted to him. And there's like this forbidden essence of, well, he's off limits, so I kind of need him. And this one was really, really steamy, but it wasn't steamy in the same sense of the word like the other STEM novels. Oh, The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain. Like, she has a tendency of writing very big guys and very, very small, petite women. And this is not that. This is different, but it was fun. It was spicy, and it was fun. I just really enjoyed the forbidden aspect of it. Then there's The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. We went from a spicy, like, over-the-top romance to a classic children's book. Yeah, I told you, I read a lot of different things. This one is kind of one that I would like to read in my classroom with my students, because there's like a map. There's like the Sea of Knowledge, Dictionopolis, Foothills of Confusion, Valley of Sounds, and it's just really about learning. I mean, it's not about learning to read, but it kind of feels like it could be, because you follow Milo, who has gone to this magical place called the Phantom Tollbooth, and there's no rhyme or reason, and there's so many like references to things that I have to teach as a teacher, and it was just a really cute adventure book. This is a children's classic that I definitely approve of. It's all about Milo. Milo is the whole reason. He makes that book what it is. There's also this dog named Talk, or a tick, named Tick or Talk. I don't remember. I think it's Talk. But he goes through this entire, like, maze of the place, and it was just fun. By Cormac McCarthy. This is a post-apocalyptic world. The thing about this that really got me was there are terrifying scenes in here. There are some things that no one should ever have to see or experience. But the thing that really got me was that the dad and the boy don't have names. And they're just traveling down this road trying to find, I think they're trying to go to the beach, because if they get to the beach, then everything will magically be better. And you never understand what the apocalypse actually was. This is very, very character driven. There are some encounters that the dad and the boy go through that make this so terrifying, but at the end of the day, it's because this one made me feel things. I was crying at the end, not as badly as Just for the Summer, but I was a crying mess, and any book that can make me feel things like that is worthy of a top spot in my reading, and this made me feel things. And for a horror novel to make me feel things, that's great. I'm still super confused about the world. I mean, it's our world, but like what happened in the Cormac McCarthy, if you are watching my channel, because of course you are, please write like a prequel to how we got to here. But I think that some of the fantastic part of this book is that you don't know what happened. You don't know how you got there. And you are still living in this land of confusion, but not in like a bad way, just in a, how did we get here? I wonder. I just have so many questions about this book that I feel like I'm never going to get answers to. And that is the hauntingly terrifying thing about this book. And then I have the only historical fiction on this list, which is The Lost Girls of Willowbrook by Ellen Marie Wiseman. This follows Sage, and Sage lives with her stepdad because her mom died. So he doesn't really like her. He's not the nicest person, but he gets a phone call from the Willowbrook saying, oh, Rosemary has escaped. And Sage thought that Rosemary died 6 years ago. But the truth is that Rosemary, her twin sister, has been in Willowbrook, the mental health facility, for the past 6 years. And now Rosemary escaped, so Sage, of course, is like, well, I'm gonna go try and help them find my sister. But they're twins. In the 50s, 60s. I don't remember when it takes place in the 60s, maybe. But, 1971. There we go. In the 70s. So she makes her way to Willowbrook, and they lock her up. They say, oh, Rosemary, thank you for coming back. She's like, I'm not Rosemary, I'm her twin, I'm Sage. And they're like, no, you're not. So then she gets locked up in the insane asylum. And the way that they were treating the patients there makes my skin crawl. And I know that this is fiction, but in all actuality, back in the 60s and the 70s, they did treat those patients very, very terribly. And it was not a good thing. And like, I'm sure there are still some cases that they still treat them horribly, but this was like horrific. This was, I know it's a historical fiction and some mystery because you're looking for the missing sister, but it was horrifying, like horror, because of the way that these patients were getting treated, because mental health was not a thing back then. They didn't care. It wasn't thought about how it is these days, and terrified me. And you do eventually get the answers, but this was so good. Okay, and the last one right here is another horror novel. This one, I am the unpopular opinion that it was wonderful, that I loved it. Everyone else says that Simone St. James has better books, but this is my favorite Simone St. James that I've read so far. I know she has a very big backlist that I haven't read, but this is Murder Road by Simone St. James. And this follows April and Eddie in July of 1995 when they are going on this like little excursion. It might be their honeymoon. I don't remember. I think it's just like a vacation. And they are on this back road where this woman is there and she looks like she needs help. So of course they stop to give her a ride, and they're just going to take her to the hospital because that's where she wanted to go, and maybe she has some kind of injury. And in the back seat of the car, she died. And now they can't leave this small town because the police think that they killed her. And so since they're not really investigating, they're just like, oh, it was you guys, but I can't prove it yet, so you're free to go for now, but stick around so that we can come arrest you later. Pretty much. They start investigating who this woman was and what she was running from and what happened to her, because they are innocent. And I loved it. I love the road trip vibes. I love the small town. I loved everything about this book. Like, it was greedy. It was scary. And I could not get enough of this. I really, really enjoyed every single second of it. But I know that a lot of people say that this is her worst book. It's my favorite. So those are my top 24 books of 2024. Thank you for sticking around if you did. It's an hour-long video, so you're a true one. Leave a comment in the thing below that tell me about one of your goals for 2025, or just give me a thumbs up so that I know you were here. I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.